Okay, so let's talk about the state of DC Studios right now. I feel like I've been wanting to make this video for like a while now, but I feel like a lot of other people have been making this same type of video about like, is DC Studios, is the DCU in trouble? That it kind of just felt like I was just like, am I really adding anything to this conversation? But like, I do feel like right now, at least, DC Studios, or the DCU just in a whole, is in a weird place. We just got the first episode of Lanterns. I think it was Sunday we got the first episode of Lanterns. And people have been really enjoying it. Like, the first episode, people have been raving about it. People really like the first episode of the show, and that is really cool to see. Ever since day one, ever since like, this show was announced and everything, this project has been my most anticipated and my most I don't know, like it was just the most interesting to me. The idea of taking Green Lanterns, these cosmic space cops, and making it a grounded detective show while also still incorporating, cosmic space space cop stuff. I always thought that was like a super interesting just idea just in general. So obviously when we got the first trailer for the show, it was, disappointing when people weren't on board with it, and they were criticizing the show and everything. But obviously we got more trailers, and people, obviously started to like it more and more as they saw more of the show and everything. And the show, the first episode is out. I'm pretty sure on Rotten Tomatoes it has like a 90 something on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and people have been giving it really good reviews and everything. And I have seen the first episode of Lanterns, and I think it is also really good as well. But we're not just gonna specifically be talking about Lanterns. We are gonna be talking about Lanterns in this video, but I just wanted to talk about the DC Studios as a whole. Recently, I think it was on Twitter or something, yeah, I think it was on Twitter. I think this was actually posted by DC themselves, and which is the crazy part. But obviously, we had Supergirl this year. That came out earlier this year, and it was the first, like, dud, to say the least, in terms of like DCU projects. It was the first misfire by James Gunn. I guess you could say the gun jammed on that one. No, I'm not making that joke again. But yeah, Supergirl, and I don't know. I don't think I totally thought Supergirl was trash or anything like that. But yeah, I could definitely, like, watching that movie and everything, that movie had problems. That movie had writing problems. It had character problems, specifically with Kara, I feel like. And like, I feel like they didn't know really what to do with that character, or like they didn't write that character in a just well, I feel like, in her own movie, which sucks and everything. But like, yeah, that movie got like, it also lost like a bunch of money. Like, I heard it, I can't remember the specific number, but I'm pretty sure it didn't even gross as much as like Morbius, apparently, or like something crazy like that. But yeah, that movie was the first, like, well, I guess here we are, the first actual not very good DCU Studios project, just as a whole. And on Twitter recently, it was posted that, and it was a clip of the director. I think I forget the director's name. I think it's like Craig Gillespie or something like that. And he was like sitting down next to Jason Momoa, and they were like, I guess they were going over like designs and stuff for Lobo, and like what kind of design they wanted for the movie. And people pointed out that the designs that they were using were AI. They were using AI designs to basically being used as concept and everything for the design of Lobo for the movie. Now, when I saw this, I ain't gonna lie, that totally like this Supergirl like already had so much like baggage tied to it with like movie not doing very well, and also the movie losing like a bunch of money for like the studio and everything, and it was just like it was just like a whole mess. And so for this also to come out, and the fact that like I don't know how much AI they used on the movie. They could have just done a thing to where like they used some AI for like concept art, but like then the whole argument comes in to where like, why don't you just actually use concept artists to make concepts? Like, I don't know, like, and so that kind of just like made everything just look worse in my opinion. And so yeah, but also you had I think it came out that like shows like, because I think they were like making an Amanda Waller show, and they were making, I think also Paradise Lost was going to be a show, or I guess like a show, not a show with Wonder Woman, but like a show about like Themyscira and her people. Apparently those two shows were canceled as well. And listen, like when it comes to, because I feel like this is a thing that like has been talked about whenever we talk about, is the DCU in trouble? Like the use of like, I guess like, I don't know, not popular characters, like, you know, people have been saying that like, hey, where's Batman? Where's Wonder Woman? Where's the Flash? Where are all these popular DC characters that we already know and everything? I don't know. I find it very interesting that like, especially after Supergirl, people's initial reaction to that was like, well, I mean, it's Supergirl. She's not a very well-known character. So, I mean, like that's why the movie flopped and everything. If you really wanted the DCU to pop off, you would, you know, introduce Batman already and Wonder Woman and Flash. And I don't know. I kind of understand where like some people are coming from, to where like, especially nowadays, it is very hard to, I mean, especially when you have the whole thing of superhero fatigue and like people, you know, being tired of generic like superhero movies that like are safe and like they don't do anything like new and different with like the genre and everything like that. And that's what Supergirl was. It was a very generic, safe, like not very like unique superhero movie, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that like, you know, we should just stop trying to make, you know, movies or like TV shows about like more obscure or like, you know, or make movies about characters that are not as like popular as Batman. I mean, that's literally like people have always been like, wait, can we get other projects that are not Batman related? Or like people will always say, oh my god, I'm so tired of seeing Batman all the time. I'm so tired of seeing Batman, like Batman movies, Batman TV shows, Batman video games. Like, so people have always like said that, can we get other characters that aren't Batman? And then like when we actually like, when James Gunn is promoting the fact that we're getting other shows, we're getting movies that are or that are going to be about like characters that haven't gotten the same treatment as like Batman. And like when one doesn't do well, people's first reaction is to like, oh no, you gotta go back to Batman. You gotta go back to Batman. James Gunn, where's Batman? Like, I feel like the main like issue is, like I said, like superhero fatigue. Like people want, it's not the fact that like, it's not the fact that people are tired, or like Gen Z or tired of like superhero movies, like whatever. Because I heard like a thing about to where like, I think it was like an article or something talking about how like Gen Z are tired of like superhero, or like they don't care about superhero movies. That's not true. I'm Gen Z and I care about, well, I mean, I guess I'm like a fan of superheroes, but like just Gen Z in general, I don't think necessarily don't care about superhero movies. It's the fact that like, I mean, we want movies or superhero movies or like movies just in general to challenge us, to make us think, and to make us like, I don't know, like feel things and stuff like that. That's why freaking Spider-Man Brand New Day is so like good. I mean it's Spider-Man, so of course it's gonna pop off regardless, but also just like that movie is it's very relatable to a lot of Gen Z or people in their early 20s that are like going through certain things in their life. Like they can relate to Spider-Man for that. And so the problem is that like you have to make unique and different superhero movies, TV shows, whatever. You have to push the boundaries of like what you can do with these characters. You can't like play it safe anymore. You can't like, you know, back in the day when the MCU was like in its prime, like you can't have an Ant-Man movie do like millions and millions of dollars. Like that's just not a thing that you can do anymore. Like you have to actually put out very just like special and like even like character driven, like, and just written well, like people like movies like nowadays that people like really enjoy, like movies like Obsession, movies like The Odyssey, movies like freaking I can't think of other movies, but yeah, movies that are just like they're just written well, and like I don't know, yeah, they're written well and they're character focused. Like I feel like that is the main thing that you really need. That's really the only thing that you need. I mean, I go back to Clayface. Clayface is a good example of that. That's a movie that is like, it is doing something very unique and different, and it has a certain style to it, and it's like a horror film and like everything, and that is so cool and everything. And so I feel like that's really all you need. But then you know you get to Lanterns, and like, you know, the first episode of Lanterns, I really enjoyed the first episode of Lanterns. I guess talking about spoilers, if you haven't seen the first episode of Lanterns, I will be talking about spoilers for that episode. But Lanterns has been really good. I know we're only on the first episode so far, but what they've shown off in that show is like, I mean, first of all, I just want to say that, like, you know, for a person who was like, you know, didn't switch up at all and was always like, hey, this show has the potential to be good. Even when people were hating on the first trailer, I was like, nah, let them cook. I think this is gonna be really good. I'm just so glad that people. I was proven right. No, but like, I just enjoy, like, I'm really enjoying the first episode. I'm really enjoying the dynamic between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and I knew I always would. Like, I think that was like a given, especially from like the trailers and everything like that. But yeah, the first 5 minutes of the show, and I think like the first 5 minutes, if you like want to, like, you can watch on YouTube or like something like that. But the first 5 minutes I feel like is a good like encapsulation of like, I don't know, superheroes in the DCU, and just also like in the first 5 minutes you get like the whole idea of what Green Lanterns are about. I mean, we get that scene of Jon Stewart watching Hal Jordan on TV, and Hal giving that speech about what it means to be a superhero, what it means to be a Green Lantern, and how, you know, to be a Green Lantern, you can't have fear, you can't be afraid. And just juxtapose with that with like freaking Jon Stewart's dad being freaking a psychopath. Being a freaking psychopath and shooting a freaking apple off his head, being like, hey, are you afraid? I mean, if I was that kid, I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty afraid. You're pointing a gun at me right now. Like, what the frick? But like, I feel like that scene is a really good encapsulation of the idea of like being a Green Lantern, overcoming your fears and everything. And yeah, I thought that scene was really good. But like, yeah, just like this show in general, like the whole detective angle that's going on right now, I think is really good. The scene of like Hal and John at the bar, them talking and everything, and Hal giving his story of like how he became a Green Lantern and everything, I thought was really well done. I know we haven't gotten any like prominent I guess action scenes with I guess like the rings or like the ring or like whatever, but we do get like some really cool scenes of like the moment of like Hal taking flight and just flying off. I thought was like really it looked really good, especially for like a TV show. You have that interrogation scene at the end that I thought was really good. Freaking Hal is like interrogating this guy who he thinks is an alien. He's like asking him all these questions, and the way that he makes this guy break is like he since they're, I guess, they're in Nebraska and something like that, and like they're in rural Nebraska, like he's asking him about like Barack Obama and how he and what he thinks about Barack Obama and everything, and like it's basically how like seeing, or it was like a test of seeing like how racist this guy is, to see if he's actually a guy from Nebraska or if he's just like a alien or like whatever. And I thought that scene was like funny and also like a cool way of like deducing that or like whatever. But yeah, you get this, you get some cool scenes of like Hal creating like a little bubble shield and like in everything to like stop an explosion from like the alien in that scene and everything. But yeah, I mean, just I think, yeah, we're good. I mean, I feel like by the next episode, we're definitely going to get more constructs and stuff happening. Like, I feel like, I mean, they did show in the trailer, I think in that same town, you have shots of like Hal protecting the city from like an alien threat or something like that. So we're going to get a lot more just very creative and interesting things with like the Green Lantern rings and the constructs and everything like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But the main thing that like was the biggest thing is that like Hal is dead by the end of the episode. There's a scene, the show takes place between like two time periods, 2016 and 2026, and so at the end of the show, or like the main core of the show takes place in 2016, but we get like flash forwards to like what's happening in the present day. And so by the end of the show, we see Jon Stewart. He's got like a little beard and everything, and he's like coming back to the town that like we previously were in throughout the first episode and everything. And it's snowing, and we get a scene of him talking to like the lady cop that was in this episode as well, and they're basically investigating Hal Jordan's death, and he's got like a bullet through his head and everything. And so I'm very interested to see where they take this. I know a lot of people were saying Hal Jordan had the potential of dying, and here he is dead. Now we don't know if he's like, I mean he looks pretty dead in this scene, but I mean they could do a thing to where like it's not really him, or like it's like a fake, or like it's something's going on. I have no idea, but just this part alone has me very interested to how we even get to this moment of Hal being dead on those bleachers looking like that. And so that is very, very interesting to me. And so yeah, man, overall, like I said, it's good to see that Lanterns is doing really good. I feel like this was a much needed win, especially after Supergirl. This was a much needed win for the DCU. And so hopefully, you know, as the episodes progress and everything, they're just as good as the first episode, if not better than the first episode. We'll just have to see. But yeah, the current state of the DCU is very interesting. I don't think it's in trouble or anything, but I do think, you know, James Gunn, Peter Safran, the people at DC Studios need to learn from their mistakes from Supergirl and everything. And I feel like the main takeaway is that, like, yes, obviously I want a DCU Batman, I want Wonder Woman, I want Flash, I want all these prominent like characters that we already know, but I feel like it still is important to flesh out characters, or flesh out, like, you know, superheroes that we haven't seen, you know, done in live action before, like a Swamp Thing, like a Booster Gold, because I'm pretty sure they're still making that Booster Gold TV show. And so yeah, at the end of the day, just make good movies, make good TV shows, you know, have the characters be written well and everything. I feel like that's just the main thing that matters the most. And so yeah, man, that's gonna do it for this video. In the comments down below, what is your take on the DCU right now? Are you enjoying the projects that are coming from DC Studios right now, like Lanterns, like Supergirl, or do you think the DCU is in trouble and James Gunn has no idea what he's doing. Let me know down in the comment sections below all your thoughts and opinions. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.